First sent to a juvenile correctional institution at age 14. His school records show that he had difficulty with reading all through elementary school. At 7th grade, he was placed in special education, but they continued to require that he take all of the content area subjects, but he could only read on 1st grade reading level. He spent most of his time during his 3 commitments to the juvenile correctional schools. He spent most of his time in maximum security facility because of his abusive behavior. Last October, when he went back to this same facility, he was tested. He could read 4 words, he could spell 2. And 3 months later, in January, he is reading and writing and has written some fluent letters, which we have copies of, which we've shared with teachers in our training. It was remarkable that Joey was in school all those years and learned 4 words, and then he learned so much from a non-traditional approach.
Before I learned how to read, I had a lot of stress and anger at other people because I ain't know how to read. And, you know, I just like to fight, but that wasn't right for me to do wrong because I couldn't read. And so, you know, after that, when I did know how to read, you know, I changed a lot, and don't nobody laugh at me no more. And I try to do the best I can now, working hard.
These teenagers who are illiterate, many of whom were high school dropouts but did not get above 3rd grade level, have no legal options. They truly cannot go out and get a job and support themselves legally. Stop and think about it. If you were 17 or 18 and you couldn't read nor write, we're trying to open a door.
If Johnny cannot read, you cannot expect Johnny to be able to go to McDonald's and fill out a job application. You cannot expect Johnny to go down to the Mississippi Department of Public Safety and apply for a driver's permit.
We believe, and we have found out in talking with the students, that they are disruptive, and why they have the behavior problems they have is if they disturb the class, the other students don't have to know they can't read or they can't write.
I feel better about myself. I used to feel down in the dumps, and because I thought I wasn't like everybody else. I couldn't read. I started doing things that would mess me up, get me in trouble. Now I can learn how to read and do stuff. I feel proud about myself, and people are starting to act like I'm there.
Probably the kid that I think is an excellent success story is a young man by the name of David. And David I was introduced to at the age of 12. And he was a severe dyslexic kid who couldn't read, couldn't spell, couldn't write. He had gone through the traditional program in elementary school and failed. He got to junior high and he saw that he really had no investment in school. School was not doing anything from him. Going to school every day was painful. It reminded him of the hurt. It reminded him of what he couldn't do, not what he could do. He was bright. He was had a good amount of ability, had good social skills, but he wasn't accepted by the system. By 15, he had spent more time in institutions than he had spent on the outside. But an interesting thing happened to him. I think, he had a teacher in one of our juvenile halls who was an amazing woman. And she was able to convince him that he was capable, that he was successful, that he had everything he needed to be successful. And she set up an excellent remedial phonics program for him. And he started experiencing success for the first time in his life, and started realizing that he did have an alternative, that the people that he had been associating himself with were not taking him where he wanted to go, and that he did have some choices on who he wanted to be with and who he needed to be with. And I get a call from him probably about once or twice a month, and this has been for the last 3 years. He'll call me once or twice a month, check in, say, this is what I'm doing now. He went ahead and graduated from high school. He's starting junior college, and he's going to make it.
We spend more on education than any other nation in the world. Every American should be outraged on being 47th in literacy. The situation is not hopeless. We need to act now on what we know works.
I have full confidence in the American people and their sense of justice and fairness and reasonableness that this change in our schools will come about. Our schools will turn back to the teaching of phonics. I'm absolutely positive about it. How soon? Well, we can't give up. That's the point. People can't give up.
I believe that if we truly want to solve our literacy problems in this nation, that we must teach systematic, explicit phonics in kindergarten, in first grade, to beginning readers.
It is my hope for every child in our country that they be able to read fluently and accurately what they can talk about and understand. We have the methods, we have the knowledge, we have the technology to do this. Perhaps there's only one ingredient we lack: the will.
No society, no country can survive without a literate population. We have the answers, we can do something about it, and every parent, every school board member, every administrator, every politician in this country needs to come together and stop arguing and do something about it, because we must preserve this nation that we all love so dearly.